really hard because DC is it's the place where opportunities and lower jobs. So if you don't have a job, it's because you don't want to work. But if you are career-oriented, or you have dreams, or you're hungry for life, you have a lot of opportunities in DC. This is the place to be, especially if you're young. Not even if you're young, even if you're older. It just depends. It's a big city. Big in the sense.
This is a story about how a young immigrant traveled from El Salvador to the Senate in D.C. It's an example that if you work hard enough, you too can make it in D.C.
I was born in Venezuela. Then when I was about 3 years old, I moved to El Salvador because that's where my mom is from, right? So I lived there until I was about 15, 16 years old. Then I made my transition here to the United States with the student visa. Okay. So then I came here to Virginia, and I went to the North Virginia Community College. I was there for like a year and a half.
Danilo faced many challenges, including learning English in his adopted homeland. He would stay after school long hours to learn the new language.
And then I moved to Miami International, where I started my degree in information technology.
So when did you move to D.C.?
Right, so then I finished my degree in D.C., in Miami. Then back in 2009, that's when I moved to D.C. And then I came over here. I came with a contract with the World Bank. I was with the World Bank for a couple of years. And then through a friend, I got a job in the government. And then I joined the Department of Commerce, the IT department. And then from there, I made my transition to NOAA, where I was like about 8 years with NOAA. And then when I was in NOAA, that's where I got my master's degree. I joined the engineering team, and then from there, I was able to kind of move on in terms of career-wise. Recently, a couple of months ago, I started applying for a new job, new opportunities, and then I joined the U.S. Senate. That's why I am right now, an IT consultant for the U.S. Senate. Easy job for me, especially right now, for what we're going through, but other than that, it's a challenge, and I'm looking forward for the challenge. Yeah.
What was the hardest part about being a new immigrant in Washington, D.C.?
For me, right, I would say it wasn't hard because D.C. is a very diverse city with people from all over the world, so I was able to adjust really fast. For me, it wasn't hard. I mean, hard, I guess, just I don't have any financial support, or parents, whatever. So everything I have, I do it myself. I work hard for it, and so I would say like that. That was probably the hardest part, but not really hard because DC is it's the place of opportunities and lower jobs. So if you don't have a job, it's because you don't want to work. But if you are career-oriented, or you have dreams, or you're hungry for life, you have a lot of opportunities in DC. This is the place to be, especially if you're young. Not even if you're young, even if you're older. It just depends. It's a big city. Big in the sense of opportunities, but small. But you definitely find what you're looking for here in DC. I like DC. DC is like a very well known for gastronomy, right? Lower restaurants over here, different bars, breweries, and museums. You have the government over here, the local government. There's many things to do for whatever you want to do. My favorite part is just explore the city, go different places, try different cuisines, meet new people, go and walk around the mountains at night and summertime, and that's what I like about doing here. And then the opportunity too, career opportunity, that's a big thing here in DC. So and because of that, I like DC. I moved to other places, and I always end up moving back to DC. So yeah.
So you kept coming back.
Well, I like Virginia a lot, okay, but Virginia, especially the north of Virginia, is more like a family type of like a neighborhood. I don't have any kids, it's like a more kid neighborhood, whatever. I own a place in Crystal City, which is a very nice neighborhood, but for me, it made financially more sense moving to DC and just rent my place and moving right here. But I like Virginia. I will move back eventually there. I always go back and forth Virginia and DC. And, the DMV area, north of Virginia especially, but I prefer living in DC for sure. Well, yeah, that's actually my job. Yeah, I mean, I was given the opportunity. It wasn't easy at first. I failed many times, but then when you fail, then for me it's better to fail than just stay in one place and succeed, because failing give you an opportunity to do better and give you wisdom in life. So DC has given me an opportunity to be the man I am right now, and not just in terms of cultural, but also in terms of my career. I met really good people, all kinds of people, bad people, good people. Bad people wanted to put me down, and I didn't want me to progress in life, and I met excellent people that wanted to help me, give me a hand, and I took advantage of the situation. And then I moved, to move on, Education, definitely, a little open doors, different choices, depending on what you wanted to do. I took advantage of that. I did many things until I decided what I wanted to do. I work in hospitality, I work in construction, I did many jobs, and then I finally, tried a little bit of everything, and then I found my passion for what I do now, and then that's what I do. So there was definitely a door of opportunities here. That's what we see. It looks like for me, for anybody who lives here.
Any advice?
I think I did very good for personally, right? But there was a little bit of time. I wouldn't say time wasted, but I couldn't go on a different route, right? But it would just probably have been a short route, It just took a little longer because of the choices that I made, but it's been perfect. It's been great, yeah. So I wouldn't say really anything much different from what I did, Oh, how many places? It depends what you're looking for, right? If you're looking for eating, good food, and hang out, nightlife, whatever, right now, I would say U Street. But DC moves around, many years ago it was Chinatown, now it's U Street, so it just depends what's happening in the city. But then I like the monuments, the museums, and it does the things that I like, yeah.